gather round people wherever you roam. I don't really sing. But I do want you to move in. Come on in, everybody. And these people up front are feeling kind of like it's two roomies, crowd them a bit. Who doesn't know me? I'm Mark Helpsmeet, and I'm the founder of Northern Spirit Radio. I say I'm the founder, but in fact, I feel like there's so many people who are parts of founding it. I've got some of the story written in the program that you have here today. If I were to give one individual most credit, it would be my wife, Sandra. She, in so many ways, had me keep going towards this thing that I was called to do instead of the thing that I could easily go along and just continue with my life's inertia. So, I really think that this would not happen if not for her and with the wealth of other people. It started out under the care of Eau Claire Friends meeting and then our regional group called Northern Yearly Meeting. But in 2013, David Huber helped bring together the board, the first board of directors of Northern Spirit Radio, and has made it flourish. We have a number of those board members here. Would our president please stand up? There he is, right there. Give a hand to Ray. All of the board members work so hard. I don't know if Steve is here, and Janine and Sandy, please stand up. There they go. And you can't find Andrew because he's up in the video booth upstairs. So he's actually sending this out via the net. But without this group of people, this wouldn't have happened. And when the idea for this came up a couple months ago, said, well, maybe we could invite John McCutcheon, and Janine went on her phone right away and said, yeah, that date would work. He's on tour. The day before, he's going to be in Minneapolis. But would that Sunday work? There's probably a Packers. No Packers, no Vikings, nothing. Way opened. That's a very common Quaker phrase. Way opened in a big way. And all of you showing up are a very big part of making that reality. Before we're going to bring John out here, and who hasn't seen or heard John in person before, you're in for a baptismal treat here. This is a really wonderful experience. It happened for me the second time when my son was just 3 weeks old. We took him to a concert. We sat way in the back because we didn't want his crying or anything to interrupt anyone else. So we were a few pews back from the nearest person. And at a certain point, John left the stage with his violin, and he went wandering around. He comes up to us. What are you doing back? Oh, a baby. And he sort of plays a lullaby. That's the kind of person John is. And we carried that blessing ever since. And right now, you see my granddaughters walking. There they go. Right there. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, Barbara. And that's my wonderful wife, Sandra. Please applaud for all three of them. But tonight is especially possible because of the incredible people of St. James. We contacted St. James about the possibility of doing it here, and they said yes, and we'll bring you this volunteer and this person. And what's more, the big plus that you're getting tonight, in addition to all the other music, is that Father Tom Krieg is going to come up here right now. I understand he's got stage fright, but here he is.
Yeah, so we set this up. this? I gotta do it like this?
Yeah.
Really? That guy's feels better. Okay. Sweet. Just want to make sure we're okay. I got taught. Okay. Maybe better. All right. Maybe a little better. Got some voice there. But they said, yeah, we had an email, all the staff, like 6 people, you know, you get an email as the 6 other people, you don't really feel you have to respond, you know, so nobody responded. And the question was, well, would you have a concert? Can we host a concert? And I said, well, someone else will respond. And then we got an email 2 weeks later, how come no one's responded? I need to know, I need to know. And I read the original one. I said, John McCutcheon. I said, what? Heck yeah, what was that? So John and I went to the same high school. And we're from awesome graduates. So it's a real pleasure to be backstage with John. A lot of my friends would be happy. So I was going to start with a song about chewing tobacco, and I thought, well, no, it's not really that. So I'm going to do a Bob Dylan cover in my song, my contribution to tonight, from 1989. So not one of the raging early 60s songs. It's called Ring Them Bells. Ring them bells, ye heathen from the city that dreams. Ring them bells from the sanctuaries, across the valleys and streams. For they are deep and they're wide, and the world's on its side. And times are running backwards, and so is the bride. Ring them bells, St. Peter, where the 4 winds blow. Ring them bells with an iron hand, so that people will know. Well, it's rush hour now, on the wheel and the plow. And the suns are going down upon the sacred cow. Ring them bells, St. Martha, for the poor man's son. Ring them bells so the world will know that God is one. For the shepherd is asleep where the willows weep, and the mountains are filled with the lost sheep. Ring them bells for the blind and the deaf. Ring them bells for all of us who are left. Ring them bells for the chosen few, who will judge the many when the game is through. I'll ring them bells for the time that flies, for the child that cries when the innocence dies. Ring them bells, St. Catherine, from the top of the room. Ring them bells from the fortress for the lilies that bloom. For the lines are long and the fighting is strong, and they're breaking down the distance between right and wrong.
John McCutcheon was the big draw for me in having today happen, but there's some people I'm so grateful for. I've done interviews that are syndicated around the United States. We started on WHYS Radio, 96.3, Descending Threes, 963, right here in Eau Claire. When they invited me to have a program on that show, went out to all these other stations. But it could never have happened without the wealth of music right here in the Chippewa Valley. And one of the people who captured my heart when I first moved up here, because Bryce Black introduced me to him, is Yata.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure beyond measure, as I've heard other people say. We'll kind of check our sound here a little. Well, Mark helps me and is a very inspiring person, isn't he? And he asked me to write a song for his radio program, Northern Spirit Radio, and that's why we're here. Let's give him a big hand. And so I got inspired and I wrote this song. And I'm going to ask you all to sing along on the chorus. I'll sing it once or twice for you, and then and teach it to you. And then you can join me on it. But the words are, all who hear it, gather near it, Northern Spirit. Okay? And we're going to hold those lines out a little bit. All who hear it, gather near it, Northern Spirit. Okay? Oh, there's a minstrel standing at the gate with a harp in hand and voice of blue. Words divinely inspired. Oh, the minstrel sings and birds wing, floating on the heartstrings, drink the dark, penetrating fire. All who hear gather near, Northern Spirit. You're good. Come, a little child, where the grass is green, bit of water and rocks and mountain streams. There this very tiny inspired. Old men to race against old time, child grace and hopes alive, forget pains and lose their minds on fire. Everybody, all who hear, gather near, yeah, Northern Spirit. Let's do that again. All who Northern Spirit. Now, children know early when we find out late, there's no such thing as wait. The call of the wild doesn't hesitate to expire. Start, watch it grow, ideas flame as the wind blows, the song goes higher and higher. Everybody. Northern Spirit. One more time. All gather near it, Northern Spirit, Northern Spirit. Now I'm going to introduce my friend Bryce Black. Come on up, Bryce. Make him feel welcome. So Bryce is a windmill repairman, so he climbs up way in these windmill towers and he fixes windmills. And when he's riding around in his truck, he's writing songs and lyrics, and then he comes and sees me and he says, Yata, I got some lyrics, and that's what he did here with this one. And I'll let him introduce it a little bit further.
Back in Back in 1994, Yata and I got together and we took some words of mine and some tunes that came out of the ether, and Yata captured that ether, and we wrote this song. It's called Loving the Questions. And the chorus is based on a paraphrase of some words by the German poet Rainer Maria Rilke, from his Letters to a Young Poet. And the rest of the lyrics are our meditation on those lyrics.
Who, what, where, when, why, and how, with the which and when. These little words can drive you mad, or help your life make sense. Like seeds in fertile soil, so they sprout, take root, unfold and grow. You've got to love, 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 love the questions and be patient with your heart. Do not now try to seek the answers. You are not ready to live them out. The point is to live everything, so live the questions. You'll live into the answers someday, somehow. Sometimes I long for answers to quench the questions burning, but I am forged from wondering, answers in my hand, it slips right through my fingers and it soaks into the thirsty sand. So slowly I've been learning. You've got to love, 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 love the questions and be patient with your heart. Do not now try to seek the answers. You are not ready to live them out. The point is to live everything, so live the questions now. Perhaps you'll live into the answer someday. Some folks think faith is a medicine to be swallowed every day, or facts you must cram for the final exam where God gives you a grade. But I believe in the bursting birth and water, crying the night of new son or daughter. Just what ought to be. I believe in mystery. You've got to love, 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 love the questions and be patient with your heart. Do not now try to seek the answers. You are not ready to live them out. The point is to live everything, so live the questions now. Perhaps you'll live into the answers someday. So these gentlemen over here, Randy, raise your hand over there, and John, raise your hand. These guys have been here since 1 o'clock setting up this sound system here. Because as you're going to see, John McCutcheon plays like 7 instruments. So we had to, do all of it right, because we owe that to John. And these are the guys who've been running the sound, putting it all together. And then had to get Father Tom up here again, didn't we? And Mark. So we're going to get a song here that Bryce and I put together, and this is based on Matthew 7, and it's a sing-along. You just have to remember 4 words. What are those words, gentlemen?
Build on the rock.
Can you repeat that? Build on the rock. Yeah, all right. So we're going to rock it. The title like that, you got to rock it, right? Build on the rock. Build on the rock. Build on the rock. Build on the rock. Oh, your house won't stand on the shifting sand. Build on the rock. One more time on that. Oh, your house won't stand on the shifting sand. Build on the rock. Build on the rock. You can build a house so tall. Someday the rain will fall. Waters rise and the wind will blow. Lord told us, and so we know. Your house won't stand on the shifting sand. Build on the rock. No, your house won't stand on the shifting sand. Build on the rock. Build on the rock. Jesus was a carpenter. Build on the rock. His hand was strong and sure. Build on the rock. He built so straight and true. Build on the rock. And that's how Jesus knew. Your house won't stand on the shifting sand. Build on the rock. No, your house won't stand on the shifting sand. Build on the rock. You can plan and you can scheme to build a house of your dreams, but if you build it on the sand, well, you'll be such a foolish man. Build on the rock. You'll weather darkest storm. Build on the rock. You'll stay safe and warm. Build on the rock. Your joy will increase. Build on the rock. This house will bring you peace. Your house won't stand on the shifting sand. Build on the rock. No, your house won't stand on the shifting sand. Build on the rock. Oh, your house won't stand on the shifting sand. Build on the rock. Build on the rock.
Except I've got to say something here. You don't really need me intro, right, do you? Just want to get John out here. calling all the children home. John McCutcheon.
far corner of the library where I found this tattered black and white paperback book entitled Woody Guthrie Folk Songs. Now, at age 14, I had no idea who Woody Guthrie was. I thought he was a guitar instructor. It had been under the subject guitar in the cards there. And the very first page had all these chord grids. Those of you who play know what I'm talking about. And it had 60 songs. So assuming it was an instruction book, I started faithfully on the first page because I knew it was arranged in ascending order of difficulties. And I learned the first song and then the second song, and by the time I got to the fifth song, I realized, no, this was arranged alphabetically. What were the chances all the easiest songs started with A? But I found this song tucked securely among the B's in that book, and it was one of the very first songs I learned to play on that little plywood guitar. I was the revolution when we set this country free. Me and a couple of Indians, we dumped the Boston tea, won the battle of Valley Forge and the battle of Bull Run. That's how biggest thing in anything. Well, after 2 weeks of pedagogical bliss, I was required to return this book. And I remember pushing my way through the big open doors of the Marathon County Public Library, and I approached this thing called the circulation desk. Aptly named because my own increased the nearer that I got. Standing on the other side of the circulation desk was my first love, the head librarian of the Marathon County Public Library. Tells you a lot about the rest of my life, doesn't it? Mrs. Gronke was her name. That's right. She was a married woman. I did not care. I was 14. I was in love. Remember, she had the prettiest face, which was crowned with a perfect black bun, standard issue in library science school. And suspended around her neck on a string of precious jewels hung a pair of fabulous eyeglasses that swooped out at either end and lay there seductively on what my grandmother called her bosom. And you never needed a calendar around Mrs. Gronke. You could always tell what the nearest holiday was by the sweater that she wore. And her wardrobe was perfectly complemented by what I always described as librarian shoes. You see them frequently around the streets of Madison. That perfect amalgam of high heels and hiking boots. And I pushed that copy of Woody Guthrie Folk Songs across the top of the circulation desk, and I looked up at her and she looked down at me, and I looked up at her and she looked down at me, and she said, "May I help you?" I said, "Mrs. Gronke," because I was 14. And I was at that attractive yodeling stage of adolescence. I would like to read you this book. She said, "Wonderful. Come back tomorrow." I said, "Tomorrow?" She says, "Yes, it takes us 24 hours to process it through our system." I said, "What system are you talking about? I can touch all four walls of the library and not move my feet." She said, "I'm here. You're here. The book is here. Your little rubber stamp is here. Let's just get this done, huh?" She said, "John, we are the library. We have procedures. Come back tomorrow." So I showed up the next day, just as she was unlocking the front door. I went in, I checked out the book, took it home. 2 weeks later, brought it back. 24 hours later, I checked it out again, I took it home. 2 weeks later, I had to return it. 24 hours later, I showed up, and it wasn't there. Exactly. I stormed up to the circulation desk, and I beat on the top. I said, "Where's my book?" And she said, "Oh, it's your book." I said, "You know what I mean." She says, "It's not back in the stacks?" She said, "No, it's not there at all." She said, "Give me a moment." And she reached under the desk and she pulled out the system. It was a shoebox. And she thumbed her way through the cards until she found the one she wanted. She said, someone else has taken it out. I said, who? And she said, oh, John, it will be decades before we're forced to give out that kind of information. But if you come back in 2 weeks and 1 day, the book will be waiting for you here in reserve. I said, what does that mean? She said, well, when the book is returned, that person will not be able to renew it. Your name will be put on it, and no one but you can check it out. Just come to the circulation. It's be waiting right here for you. I said, wow, you would do that for me? She said, of course I would. And all the way home, I thought, oh, she does love me. I showed up 15 days later. I was waiting for her when she came to open the front door. 5 minutes later, I walked back out that door with this book tucked under my arm, and I didn't vow this would never happen again. I'm living with my free wife in this big land we built. It takes all of the 50 states for me to spread my will. Our kids are in the millions now that run from sun to sun. That's not the biggest thing that matters. And that little paperback book is the whole reason I'm here with you all tonight. No plan. I love that book. I still love that book. I still have that book. It's not cool, kids. It's not cool. But I was 14 years old. I was desperate, and it might persuade you to know that today's Marathon County Public Library has 2 copies of Woody Guthrie folk songs, thanks to, as the book plates state, the generosity of an anonymous donor. And for the longest time, that would be the end of this seemingly endless thing. But a few years back, when my latest book came out, my publisher sent me on a book tour, and one of the places I stopped was at Yonkey's bookstore in Wausau, the oldest bookstore in Wisconsin. And I guess because I was a hometown boy, a lot of people showed up, and I was there for hours. I did a little reading, and then I just was autographing until my arm felt like it was going to fall off. And finally, toward the end of the evening, this anxious grandparent pushed 2 boys forward and said, "Will you please sign one for Daniel and one for Philip?" So I'm talking to the boys, when the younger of the 2 looks up at the grandparent and says, "Grandma, he doesn't look a thing like you said he would." And the first thing I noticed when I looked up were the snowman appliques on the sweater. And above that was a pair of drugstore reading glasses suspended by a chain of cheap, chipped rhinestones. And atop that still pretty face sat a perfect white bun. I said, "Mrs. Rocky?" She said, "Oh, John, you can call me Elizabeth." And I said, "No, I can't." "Are these your grandchildren?" She said, "Yes, they're the joy of my life." And I saw a smile I never saw on the circulation list. And I turned to the elder of the 2 boys and said, "Are you Philip or you Daniel?" He said, "I'm Philip, sir." "How old are you, Philip?" He says, "I'm nearly 13. I said, "Philip, you may find this difficult to believe, but when I was not a whole lot older than you, I had the biggest crush on your grandmother." And he looked at me in horror. And then up at his grandmother just shrugged and said, "See? Because I told you what I know. Please remember, partner, wherever you may go, that the people are building a peaceful world, and when the victory's won, that is the end. got something in the mail from St. John's. That's great. I spent half the month of February and half the month of March of 2020 touring in Australia, where they had no idea in the world what was happening in the rest of the world. I arrived back home on March 16th of 2020 to a very different country than I left. And my wife met me at the door, through the door, saying, honey, you have been in the handsiest continent on the planet for a month, and you have spent the last 24 hours in a tubular petri dish getting back here. Here's your dog. Go up to our little mountain cabin, and I'll see you in 3 weeks. So I went up, and deprived of all the normal husbandry duties, I just wrote every day for 3 weeks. And this is what I wrote on the last night I was there. It's got a bit of a time stamp on it. In these times, these days feel like the next. Just tonight, my old friend Richard sent to you for text. I can see his sorrow on the screen, wondering if I heard the news tonight that John Krieg died. Oh, he seemed to pluck his songs out of thin air. They told of tiny triumphs and lives filled with despair, complex in their simplicity, so honest and so true, just like every writer wished they could do. There's an angel from Montgomery that's finally taken wing, a place up there called paradise, where even sandstone sings. All the losers, lovers, and loners gather round the throne, the mighty choir to welcome John Krieg home. I remember a night, a bar in Cambridge town. The band took a break. John and I, we shut the whole place down. It was Stevie Goodman's birthday, just 8 years since he died. Oh, we sang, drank, and remembered. We laughed, and then we cried. Just like tonight, when I heard John Krieg die. There's an angel from Montgomery who's finally taken wing, a place up there called paradise, where even the sandstone sings. All the losers, lovers, and loners gather round the throne. The mighty choir welcome John Krieg home. Tonight I'm sitting here thinking about the stories that we tell, and the blessed few who really do make heaven out of hell. So say hello to Stevie, I ain't ready for you yet. In the meantime, I know you'll enjoy the 9-mile cigarette. An angel from Montgomery finally taken wing, a place up there called paradise, even sandstone Amidst the roiling of the world all around you, be still. Everything conspires to confound you, be still. They offer one more lie, and you know you've had your fill, be still. When you realize the fools will go to anything, be still. Need to find a way, offer up restraint, be still. They don't understand true power, and you know they never will, be still. When you feel your heart despairing, and you don't know where to turn, looking for your bearing as the waves upheave and churn. Nothing is more daring than the willingness to learn. Be still, be still. Thomas Merton and the Buddha came before you. Be still. Offering examples to explore you. Be still. Emptiness to overflowing if you only will. Be still. His defense against the madness that roars on every side. Defense against the sadness that rolls on you like a tide. If you seek the gladness that's a sure and steady guide, be still, be still. Need gather the power of your force, be still. You first must seek the center of your source, be still. And the fringes of the fight, it might work against your will, accepting that the battle will forever be uphill. It takes belief and patience to walk on muster all your skill, and be still. Be still. Thank you. Well, I discovered during the pandemic that Zoom could be used for good as well as for evil. And so I used it as a way not only to assuage my loneliness, but also to get together with a bunch of my musical friends, and a lot of us started co-writing songs together. And one of my favorite was a person that, if you are a Quaker, you certainly know the name Carrie Newcomer. And Carrie's a golden dear friend of mine. We started writing together about 3 or 4 years ago. And we were always trading songs and stories and albums back and forth. And I put an album out called Bucket List, and I sent it to her. The next session we had, she said, "Oh man, I love that song, Bucket List." And it made me think of stuff that's on my bucket list. And the oldest thing on my bucket list, and I don't know that I'll ever do it, is for years I have wanted to walk the Camino de Santiago. And if you don't know about the Camino, it's a 1,000-year-old, 500-mile pilgrimage from the purities of southwest France, terminating in the town of Santiago de Compostela, where rumor has it, the bones of the Apostle James are interred in the cathedral there. And I said, "Carrie, you're not going to believe this, but this next spring, I'm walking the Camino." Now, a little bit of editing here. I was supposed to do this last May, and in early April, while prepping for the Camino, I broke my leg. It was God's way of saying, "You're not ready quite yet. It's going to be there." And Carrie said, "I can't wait till you get back so we can write about it." I said, "Can decided to write about 4 people walking the Camino for 4 very different reasons. I promised my brother we'd do it one day, but we waited 6 months too long. Though this isn't the way we imagined it'd be, I couldn't bear to admit I was wrong. So I carry this small box of ashes, just like I told him I'd do. This last journey we will take together. I walk the Camino for 2. I follow the footprints of Francis, who walked this way centuries ago. I made my vows to the order, but for decades now I've struggled to know. Now I carry the weight of decision. This God I've been taught is too small. At Santiago I'll lay down my habit and free us both for once and for all. For the way is not only the walking, the pilgrimage more than the mile. Some things we just have to carry along, our joys, our doubts, our trials, just to lay them down at the bones of the saint, no matter how long or how far. We walk the way, we walk the world to Compostela, the field of stars. Compostela, the field of stars. It's quiet here, not like in Cabo. I've been on some treks in my day. It's lighter without gear and rifle, neath the stars of the great Milky Way. In my pocket I carry a medal I will leave at the tomb of St. James. In my heart I carry a great pressing weight that I struggle each day just the way. I just woke up one morning and went. I put one foot in front of the other. Day upon day as I wandered the way, I met a soldier, a nun, and a brother. Each of them carried a burden, and each of them laid it on down. That is the job of the journey, to make it at last holy ground. For the way is not only the walking, the pilgrimage more than the miles. Some things we She came up and she said, John, do you know who I am? I said, give me a hint. She said, I taught at Franklin Elementary School. I said, are you Miss Anderson? She says, well, that used to be my name. And I saw you were glad I just had to come. And I said, I can't believe that you would remember one student after all these years. And she said, oh. Some students you just never forget. So I was thinking, right here, isn't it down behind this piano? How surprised and utterly shocked my old piano teacher would be. There at St. James Elementary School, Sister Mary Rainbow was my piano teacher. She had 2 rosaries, one she wore like this, and the other she wore. She had a sleeveless habit with the Born to Pray tattoo. She would be more shocked than anybody that I was playing piano in public. So I had a request. When I was a little kid, not so long ago, I had to learn a lot of stuff. Dress myself, shoes, how to jump rope, how to smile for a picture without looking like a dope. All I learned, my favorite of it all, was a little boy hanging on the kindergarten wall. You learn to remember this the best. Don't hurt each other and clean up your mess. Take a nap every day, wash before you eat, hold hands up together, look before you cross the street. Remember the seed in the little pink cup. First the root goes down and then the plant grows up. It was first, second, third grade, fourth grade too. But I had to learn the big things that big kids do. And start to multiply, read and write, play, how to sit in a little uncomfortable desk for nearly half a day. All they taught me, all the great and small, so my favorite was the poem on the kindergarten wall. You learn to remember this the best. Don't hurt each other and clean up your mess. Take a nap every day, wash before you eat, hold hands up together, look before you cross the street. Remember the seed in the little pink cup. First the root goes down and then the plant grows up. I have 2 sons and 3 stepdaughters. My youngest son, when he was in college, his senior year at the University of North Carolina, called me up and said, Dad, where can I get a tuxedo? I said, not for me. What do you need a tuxedo for? And he said, well, there's this, and I said, girl? He said, yeah. I've been wanting to ask her out for 2 or 3 years, and I figured this is my last shot. So there's this kind of formal thing that she wants to go to, and I need a tuxedo. So where can I get a tuxedo? I said, well, what is this event? He said, it's Saturday. I said, okay, it's Monday. You got time, actually. Go to the nearest mall, and there will be some place there. Here are 3 names. One of these will be there. You can rent a tuxedo, and it'll be ready for you on Saturday. And in fact, use my credit card. I will spot you the rental of your first tuxedo. He said, wow, thanks, Dad. And I said, however, I'm going to call you Sunday morning, and I want a complete report. He said, Dad, please don't call me Sunday morning. I said, okay, I'll call you Sunday early afternoon. He said, call me at 6, or as we people here in Chapel Hill call it, breakfast. So 6 o'clock, I'm in the second hand sweep of the 12. I'm on the phone with him, and I said, so how'd it go? He said, well, it was okay. I said, okay, what happened? He said, well, everything was fine until about halfway through the evening. She puts down her drink, and she looks at me. She says, McCutcheon, I know that name. And I'm sitting there, Dad, thinking, oh, please no, please no. Are you any relation to John McCutcheon? And I said, kinda. 12-year-old. And she's, oh my gosh, I grew up in American music, I know all the songs. And then she sang, oh, you learn here, remember this and that. And I'm sorry, I could not imagine kissing that mouth. It was first, believe me, I've been wondering. Look around and see an awful lot of grown-ups acting foolish as can be. I'm sure there's lots of things to learn they haven't mastered yet. Seems there's real important stuff that grown-ups soon forget. I'm sure we'd all be better off if we would just recall that little poem hanging on the kindergarten wall. Remember this the best. Don't hurt each other and clean up your mess. Take a nap every day, wash before you eat. Hold hands, stick together, look before you cross the street. Remember the seed in the little paper cup. First the root goes down and then the black grows up. Thank you very much. Well, this is still the baseball season some places, and Wisconsin is one of those places. Though I never lived here when the Brewers were in Wisconsin, I was an avid Milwaukee Braves fan. And when they left Wisconsin in 1966, I was 13 years old, and it made every romantic disappointment of my life a piece of cake. And in the kind of irony that only exists in baseball, 40 years later, I found myself living in the Atlanta area. And I figured 40 years was enough time to not forgive. And so I go to an embarrassing number of games. In fact, I have an entire baseball album. It's called Sermon on the Mound. And because I'm such a marketing genius, I'm going to sing a song that is not on that album. But this is a true story. I know because I saw it on SportsCenter and on the internet. So we know it's true. And also because I've met this young woman. Ellensburg, Washington, the sun shone so bright, a beautiful day for a game. When Sarah Tukolsky stepped up to the plate, she knew she would never be the same. It was senior day, and in all her 4 seasons, she had no worse year than this one. Batting under 100, she knew at month's end that her softball career would be done. Oh, she looked at her strike, she looked at the sky, she thought how she'd misplayed ball. She took a deep breath and swung for life or death, sent the next pitch right over the wall. Sarah Tukolsky sprinted for first, she never once hit a home run. But halfway to second, the left knee gave out, and in an instant her season was done. She lay in the base pad, writhing in pain, it turned and the tears stained her face. She knew that her run would not be recorded until she had touched every base. So she looked to her teammates, she looked to her coach. The umpire said the rules are quite clear. No one from Western is allowed to assist you. And above her, a strange voice said, "Here." Mallory Holtman played first base for Central. She reached out her hand to the ground. Oh, those rules don't say nothing about your opponents. Get up and I'll get you around. So with her teammate Liz Wallace, Mallory Holtman picked Sarah right up like a feather. They carried her around till she touched every base, and the 3 girls crossed home plate together. Thus, Sarah Tukolsky got her home run, though she didn't do it alone. Sometimes help comes from where you least expect it, carries you all the way home. Ellensburg, Washington, the sun shines so bright, a beautiful day for a game. Inside there were some letters tied in a silver bow. Each one began, my darling, and was signed, I love you, Joe. The paper G I issued, but the penmanship sublime. I found myself transported to another place and time. Letters start in 42. When he shipped overseas, she got one nearly every day, but they stopped at Normandy. You're with me all the that was his final line. I thought of all the letters that never made it home, and those who waited on them, those who lived their lives alone, gathered up their memories and all they could recall, to tie them in a silver bow and drop them in a wall. And I wonder who his darling was. Is she still alive? I hold these precious pages here that clearly did survive. Somewhere in the soil of France, 'neath crosses in a row, waiting for reunion, lies a boy named Joe. Take you back to that book from the library. I was dedicated to that book. Shortly before my 50th birthday, I hit the P's. And this was the first song in the P's. And it was immediately my favorite song. I liked it even more than that song a few pages later in the T's that I discovered I already knew. And as blasphemous as it might be to say this is still my favorite Woody Guthrie song. It's a mighty hard road, these poor hands of home. Poor feet wandered a hot, dusty road. Out of the dust bowl and westward we roam. The desert was hot, your mountains was cold. I looked in your orchards of peaches and prunes. You slept on the ground in the light of the moon. At the edge of your cities, you see us and then dust gone with the wind. California, Arizona, worked all your crops. Up north to Oregon to gather your hops. Take the beets from your ground and the grapes from your pie. Put on your table your bright sparkling wine. Pastures plenty, dry as the ground. Up around the dam where the waters run down. life it be. Pastures of plenty, lost always. Land of the friend with my life it be. Pastures of plenty, lost always. Be free. Friends, I'm going to play one more song, and then we're going to take a 15-minute intermission for 20 minutes. And during that time, you can go out and catch what it feels a lot more like tonal air than it has for the last week or so. You can visit with all the other people you haven't seen in a good long while. You can peruse all the stuff for Northern Spirit Radio that's out there in the lobby, and you can, of course, visit for the first time in decades here in Eau Claire, the John McCutcheon Audio, Literary, and Video Boutique. I don't even know the last. There was a place years ago called the New Deli. I played there once or twice, but it's been that long. Well, there was the time I played in the church and Miss Anderson showed up. So I have a whole bunch of albums up. I have 47 albums now because I was raised before Ritalin. The newest one, I have ones that are tributes. I put out one at Woody Guthrie's 100th birthday. I put out one at Pete Seeger's 100th birthday. I have a new album that I produced honoring a fiddle contest that happened 100 years ago in a little town in northeastern Tennessee called Mountain City, Tennessee, that I play in all the time. And they're doing great things in that little rural community to teach the young kids how to play music and the people how to make a living so they don't have to leave. And they totally avoid the opioid epidemic. It's just astonishing. So I called my friends Old Crow Medicine Show and Molly Tuttle and Tim O'Brien and Stuart Duncan and all kinds of great fiddle and banjo players to recreate some of the music from 100 years ago. And all the profits will go to the Arts Center there. My latest album is Field of Stars. We've heard some songs from that already. And I have two albums with Tom Paxton. The most recent one is not supposed to be out till January, but some came the day before I left and I shoved some in my suitcase. So you could literally be the first person in Wisconsin to have this before January. There's a basket up here, and if you have come to hear a particular song, trust me, I have no idea what that is. Just write it down on like a $20 bill, and leave it in there, and or a receipt from the boutique, and I'll try to make sure that you've left feeling like you got your money's worth. This is a song that I learned like 40 years ago, I guess. I was playing at the Coffee House Extempore in Minneapolis many moons ago. And the opening act was a songwriter and a wonderful guitarist from Massachusetts named Bob Frankie. And I sat in the wings and watched his opening set and heard 6 of the best songs in a row I ever heard. And as he was going off when I was going on, I took him aside and said, Bob, that third song that you sang, what hymnal is that from? And he kind of sheepishly said, I wrote that. So it's been in the John McCutcheon ever since that evening. It's got a one-line repeating chorus. And you all need to get in touch with your inner Baptist because there's lots of, it's there. There's lots of opportunity for wonderful harmony. So be brave. baby, a story I will tell of a love that has vanquished the powers of hell. This is your heart. Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly. That's all. Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly. Sweetness in the air and justice on the way. Laughter in the house where the mourners had been. Death shall have music, the blind have the wise. Standards of death taken down by surprise. Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly. Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly. Release for the captives, an end to the war. We've been desert, new home for the poor. Little lame children shall dance, the kids sing and play with bears, and the lions in the stream. Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly. Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly. Hush, little baby, let go of your fears. Lord loves home, and your mother is here. They fell asleep as the lantern did burn. Mother sang on to her bridegroom's return. Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly. Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly. How do you sing it up there? Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly. Let's come on. Hallelujah, the great storm is over. Lift up your wings and fly.
Please remember that you're not supposed to bring food or liquids back into this room. But please get some of that food and make a donation to Habitat for Humanity. Thanks so much for Good Shepherd for organizing that benefit.
There's some journeys now, and I can take a walk around, see what there is to see. Time is just a man, Main Street, walk fast as the feet can take a lot, just roll through town. Goodness got a few, from my love through, see that I know the sun for the house. I need this ocean to break. Listen to screams out loud. See me going across the sky. So I don't even make a sound. Till I'm sleeping this time. Remember in the street, they'll get to me. These tracks will get sent out. And I got time, and I got to get to it. I need this ocean to break.
family of 12 kids. I can use this kind of voice without a microphone. John came from a small family.
No, he's close to mine. So, come right in, have a seat. Again, there's not food and drink allowed in here, so please don't bring that in. I just want to remind you all that Northern Spirit Radio programs are on stations all over. I produce the programs, send them out to all these stations, including WHYS locally. So you can always just come to northernspiritradio.org and you can listen to all my interviews, including the several interviews I've done with John and many other very wonderful folks. Really, it's a rich opportunity to touch spirit through music. So please, Song of the Soul program, Spirit in Action, please join us there. Again, I can't tell you how grateful I am for St. James for having us here, for Good Shepherd, for bringing together the energy to help Habitat for Humanity. We even had the wonderful Oxbow Motel giving us free rooms for our visitors. There's so many people who make this possible, and it could not have happened without the board of directors of Northern Spirit Radio. And the thing is, there's still at least 3 places open on the board. Wouldn't you like to hang around with me and all these great folks once a month at least? Yes? I'm hearing it. I'm hearing the energy building. I'm hearing it coming in big time. There is out by the Northern Spirit Radio display, a place where you can write down your name and just say, hey, I'm interested, let's talk. You can find if you have skills and interests that match with what you're trying to do. So, with that in place, ready and go wild, and welcome back John McCutcheon.
I am an immigrant. I am a stranger in this place. Here but for the grace of God gone. An immigrant. I have left everything I own. To everything I've known I say goodbye. She said, give me a night, don't you know I'm weary? When she said, give me a pour, she's talking to me. One of your huddled masses yearning to breathe. And I never have lost sight of what this journey has been for. See how she lifts her lamp beside the golden door. I am an Irishman. When the famine put us to the test, way into the west like wild birds flying, put our backs to the wheel, with a heart that always yearned for home. We have made this place our own, about died trying. She said, give me a time, don't you know I'm weary? When she said, give me a pour, she's talking to me. One of your huddled masses yearning to breathe. And I never have lost sight of what this journey has been for. See how she lifts her lamp beside the golden door. I am Chinese. I've worked your mills, your yards, your mines. I have laid your railroad lines with my 2 good hands. And I am in Chicago. In your orchards and your fields, I have gathered in the wheat yields its hungry land. She said, give me your time, don't you know I'm weary? When she said, give me your pour, she's talking to me. One of your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. And I never have lost sight of what this journey has been for. See how she lifts her lamp beside the golden door. I am Nigerian, I am Iranian, a Jew from Havana, from Kathmandu. I am your story, online. When you have forgotten that is true, I am everything you knew. I am your glory. She said, give me your time, don't you know we're weary? When she said, give me your pour, she's talking to you and me. We are the huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. And we never must lose sight of what that journey has been for, as we lift her lamp beside the golden door. And there's room for you in this song. Your part goes like this. I am an immigrant. I am trying. I am an immigrant. I am, oh, I am an immigrant. I'm singing for your parents. I am an, and for your children. Oh, I am an immigrant. I Thank you. I got a lot of really good requests here, most of which I actually know. Some that I don't. But I'm going to do this one right now. I remember back, I was 8 or 9 at my grandma's house in the summertime. Every night at 6, I'd hear her sweet slow drawl. Y'all come in. Y'all means all. I might not like you. You might not like me. Sometimes that's just the way things are gonna be. But still I'll catch you if you should fall. It's where I come from. Y'all means all. Blood is blood, and bone is bone. Kid is kid, and home is home. And there ain't no difference I can't recall that makes a difference. Y'all means all. Well, it's a southern thing. It's simple etiquette. You treat folks kindly, sometimes folks forget. Well, they can act plumb mean, Neanderthal. But like my grandma said, y'all means all. Blood is got our troubles, we've got hearts. At this table, there is a chair where you're always welcome. Set yourself down. No, we are not perfect, but we know it's true. We are all God's children. We are just me and you. One day soon, we'll hear the call. Y'all come in. Y'all means all. Blood is blood, and bone is bone. King is king, and home is. And there ain't no difference I can recall that makes a difference. Your means all. In your Birkenstocks or your robes, your hearts, your means all. This is a song for two guitar. As you might suspect, I am the songwriter laureate of our family. I have a big family. I have 2 sons and 3 stepdaughters, and my wife is Cuban, and which means it's always a huge crowd. Whenever, I mean, you don't, if you marry into an immigrant family, a refugee family, in fact, you've got to learn some stuff right away. And that is, you are never, ever going to do anything alone ever again. You're not going to have holidays alone. You're not going to have birthdays alone. You're not going to have vacations alone. You are not going to have honeymoons alone. And I really wish I was kidding. And you're never going to go to the doctor alone. I mean, into the examining room. And never leave home without food. Because you don't know. You just don't know. So, there's lots of big gatherings. Whenever anything happens, if there's a birth, a death, a graduation, a big birthday, whatever, everybody gathers. And it's so much fun. And there's so much food. And it's just laughter and singing, and every family event of that sort, somewhere during the evening, everybody will stop and look at me and go, well. So I had a big birthday a few years ago. It's the kind of birthday that makes, for which all your children and all your grandchildren come. Because, you just don't know. And I'm really happy to encourage that kind of paranoia as long as it gets everybody home. So I wrote myself a 70th birthday song because that's my job, I guess. I knew no one else was going to do it. Today I turned 70. Happened so fast. I guess now I know that the die has been cast. No, it's not the gray hair or the aches that I feel. It's the fact that one thing is now perfectly real. I'm too old to die young. It's a punch in the gut. Oh, my youth passed before me. I guess I just missed the cut. It seems only yesterday body's intact, I must face the fact I'm too old to die young. Hank Williams, G. Oh, we all know their story. I always thought I'd go out in a great blaze of glory, but instead I hung in right from the start. Now I guess I'll check out like some normal old fart. I'm too old to die young. It's a punch in the gut. Oh, my youth passed before me. I guess I just missed the cut. It seems only yesterday my life had begun. Though my body's intact, I must face the fact I'm too old to die. If you croak when you're 20, folks say, oh no, 30, 40, or 50, you're still too young to go. Even at 60, folks say, what the heck? But once you hit 70, they say, what did you expect? So I guess I'll accept that this is my lot. I'll rage and I'll holler for the time that I got. I'll drink it down to the dregs and to the end, and be the best damn old fart that there ever has been. Oh, you know this by now, come on. I'm too old to die young. It's a punch in the gut. It's a punch in the gut. My youth passed before me. My youth passed before me. Guess I just missed the cut. Guess I just missed the cut. Seems only yesterday. It seems only yesterday my life had begun. My life had begun. Though my body's intact, though my body's intact, I must face the fact I'm too old to die young. Though my mind is intact, I'm too old to die young. So, why am I living in Georgia? When I was a student at St. John's, they studied this independent study program, and I signed right up. And because you see, I was trying to learn to play the banjo, which was a really lonely endeavor in 1970 in Stearns County, Minnesota. So I convinced my advisor to let me do a 3-month independent study, hitchhiking around the Appalachians and meeting banjo players. It's a 3-month independent study that I am still on 53 years later. It's a big subject. And so I lived for a few years in East Tennessee, and then I moved to Virginia, where I lived for way over 30 years, and I've been living almost 20 years now in Georgia. But when I lived in the southwestern corner of Virginia, the part that's always continued in the upper right-hand corner of the road maps. You remember road maps? I mean, I've always said that GPS is the perfect example of 21st century America. We only know the next turn. And that's it. So when I lived in Southwest Virginia, and this is Carter family country, you know, Will Circle, the Unbroken, Carter family. And they didn't care about the hammer dulcimer at all. They didn't care I wrote songs. I was the fiddle player in the community. money for the local health clinic. I was on call, and it was local. Well, a few years ago, I had hand surgery, and it was so much fun I did it twice, which rendered me unable to play the fiddle for over 2 years, and I liked playing the fiddle. So, in my 8th decade now, I decided to humble myself and go back to the very beginning and listen to all the people that taught me how to play. So here are 3 tunes that I learned when I was just starting that I'm enjoying playing again. The first comes from a fiddle player from Rush, Kentucky named J.P. Fraley, and he played a version of the Miller's Reel that I've never heard. So that's the first tune. Then Tommy Hunter of Mars Hill, North Carolina, taught me how to play the Cincinnati hornpipe, and finally, I remember hearing Max Snotter of Clyde, North Carolina, play the Forked Deer for the very first time, and I thought it was the most beautiful tune I ever heard, so I had to learn. 3 tunes from my mentor. South of here. And every 5 years, this is my mother's family, we have a reunion. We are all the ancestors, the descendants of Michael and Anna Ops, ABTS, who immigrated from Germany in the mid-19th century and established a farm on a bluff overlooking the Mississippi River just outside of Fountain City, Wisconsin. And it is still a working farm, and it is still in the family. All these years later. Yeah, no small feat, huh? And those of you who know anything about farming, and I'm sure most of you do, know that farmers are not people who simply put seed in the ground or raise livestock. Every farmer I know is a mechanic, and an electrician, and a meteorologist, and a was that unfortunate confluence of agriculture and Catholicism. And my grandfather, Michael, as he was named for his grandfather, my middle name is Michael in his honor, discovered early on that he was particularly adept at leatherworking. And by the time he was 21 years old, every farmer in the area was wearing boots that my grandfather had made. And all their teams were outfitted with harnesses and saddles and yokes that he had made. By the time my mother, the youngest of his 12, came into the world, like he figured that he could spend more time with his family if he left the farm and moved to the nearby town of Arcadia, and he opened up a harness and boot making shop, which is where I spent many an aromatic summer. So I have been searching my entire career for traditional American songs about shoemaking. So here it is. In the year 1801, again on. In the year 1801, again on. In the year 1801, picking shoes was all I done, and me down I packed my arm up again on. In the year 1802, again on. In the year 1802, again on. In the year 1802, making shoes was all I do, and me down I packed my arm up again on. They invented a new machine, hanging on. They invented a new machine, hanging on. They invented a new machine, prettiest thing you've ever seen. And me down, I pack my arm up hanging on. It makes 20 to my 1, hanging on. It makes 20 to my 1, hanging on. It makes 20 was astonishing. The big finale, all these little community choirs got together, and by the end, there were 30,000 singers on stage, and it was just chilling. One of my favorite things about being in Estonia is everywhere I went for folk music festivals, they always had pictures, lots of pictures of Jews harps on the posters. And I went to the folk music center in Islandi, and I was talking to the executive director there, and I said, "What's the story with all the Jews harps?" He said, "We take the Jews harp very seriously here in Estonia. In fact, there's a guy in the next room who's building Jews harps right now." And I went in there and I got a couple of harps from him. And then she took me to the archives, gave me the total, all the field recordings ever of Jews harps in Estonia. And I bet I'm the only person in this country that has that. Beautiful harp. This was really good. Lived in Mill Creek, West Virginia, a fellow by the name of Currence Hammonds. And boy, was he a good storyteller. He could make a trip to the drugstore epic. And this is the song with him. Well, Pappy bought me a great big billy goat. Mama, she washed most every day. Hung the clothes out on the line, and the gosh darn goat, well, he came that way. He started eating at my old red shirt. You ought to hear them buttons crack. Baggity with the son of a gun. I'm gonna tie him across the railroad track. So I tied him across the railroad track. Train keeper coming at 1,000 rate. He bounced up that old red shirt. And the gosh darn goat, well, he flagged that train. I went to the station and I bought me a ticket and I hopped on the train and I sat right down. Stuck the ticket in the brim of my hat. The wind came along, blew it out on the ground. The conductor came along, put a click back again. I had to get another head out on the track. I ain't with the son of a gun. I buy a round trip ticket and I ain't coming back. Well, the darn fool, who married me a widow, and the widow had a daughter, and her name was Maud. I married the widow, and my daddy married the daughter, and now my daddy is my own son-in-law. I played in Minneapolis last night, and though I was raised Catholic, I have been a Quaker most of my adult life. And my brother-in-law morning, then had me drop him off on this place. They were building a fence. He said, turn right here. I said, I thought your son lived over there. He said, yeah, but let's go around this block. And he took me past Annunciation. I don't know about y'all, but I'm really tired. When the sound of gunfires followed by the sirens and police, your first thought is not another. When will all this madness cease? Frantic parents in the schoolyard, the cameras and the crews, and the two familiar stories on the evening network news. We will stop at nothing to protect and save our kids. And stopping at nothing is exactly what we did. Another town, another story, another school, another day of hoping it'll all just go away. Reading, writing, arithmetic, and active shooter drills. 8-year-olds preparing for the visitor kills. Everyone is praying that they never have to see. Teachers be the heroes that they never asked to be. We will stop at nothing to protect and save our kids. Stopping at nothing is exactly what we did. Another town, another story, another school, another day, hoping it'll all just go away. If we dare to question, we hear too soon, while the families and survivors are left howling at the moon. And the cowards we elected turn their heads away while their bloody hands accept their Judas pay. Nothing ever, so something always does. Then everything goes back to the way it always was. Calls, prayers, and thoughts are expected to suffice, while the victims and the next ones are asked to pay the price. We will stop at nothing to protect and save our kids. Stopping at nothing is exactly what we did. Another town, another story, another school, another day of hoping it'll all just go away. Here's another request. And back in the early 90s, I was doing a bunch of shows with John McCutcheon, and one of the things I noticed is after every song, he would tell what the name was. You know, Paradise, Hello in There, Illegal Smile. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. But then, when I started doing this, I stopped doing that because it was a lot more fun to find out what y'all thought the names of the songs were. So this is a song that, try as I might, nobody remembers the name of it. I actually, one of the cool things about playing an unusual instrument like the hammered dulcimer is I get dragged into all kinds of really unexpected combinations. And so I played a lot with symphonies. And so I wrote this as a symphonic work. I went out on a whale watch on Lake Superior, and I was out on the left coast, and this song came about, and I debuted it as a symphonic piece called Leviathan. But everybody, like the person in the request basket here, said, "Play that Hammer Dulcimer song about the whale." So that's its official name now, that Hammer Dulcimer song about the whale. Thank you. Before the pandemic, the University of North Carolina's Center for Southern Folk Life contacted me and said that they wanted to have all my papers and stuff. And this included original lyrics and set lists and about 700 7-inch reel-to-reel tapes of musicians that I had recorded, people I learned from, and people all over the world, really. And so then the pandemic hit, so I had all kinds of time to go through and re-listen to all these 7-inch reel-to-reels. And the treasure of them all was 2 7-inch reels. It was an afternoon of conversations with my grandmother, my father's mother. She was part of that generation that lived through World War I and World War II and a depression in between, and somehow managed to raise a big family on one blue-collar paycheck. They're all gone now. And one of the qualities of that generation, I think, was that they never threw anything away thoughtlessly. And I know this is true because I was in charge of cleaning out my grandmother's house after she died. And emblematic of that ethos was a small box I found in the basement that was labeled "Pieces of String Too Small to Save." She was a remarkable woman. She was apprehended in her 85th year at the top of a 2-story extension ladder, changing her storm windows. Well, a family conclave was called, at which it was determined that she could no longer manage on her own. When she was informed of this, she said, "I could manage just fine if you all would get off your sorry butts and change my storm windows for me. I'm 85 years old, for God's sake." But within a year, she was remanded to senior living apartments in the old Hotel Wausau, and she hated it. She would call me up late at night. She said, "John, they treat you like a prisoner in here. You have to sign yourself out, sign yourself in. They want to know where you are at every moment." Orwell was right. Well, one day, she goes down with a brown paper grocery bag. Remember those? Filled with what she told the young girl that she was signing herself out with. Were filled with knickknacks. You know, you move your whole life into 3 little rooms, you're going to bring too much stuff. My old house, it's still empty. 4 blocks away. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to leave this in the garage. I'll be back in an hour. She did, and she was. With the stealth of a CIA operative, making certain to never check herself out twice to the same front desk attendant. Inside of 6 weeks, she had completely moved herself back home. One grocery bag at a time. This woman's blood runs through my veins. So I showed up at my grandmother's house with that big old walnut sack tape recorder, and I plopped it down on her kitchen table. The same kitchen table every single one of your grandmothers had, with the linoleum top, and the 4-inch aluminum band around the side and the tubular legs. Are you back there with me? And she looks at this and she says, "Johnny, what is this?" I said, "Grandma, I want you to talk about your life." She said, "Nobody wants to hear about my life." And then she didn't shut up for 4 hours. And that was the afternoon I learned about the young French-Canadian girl who emigrated to northern Wisconsin, fell in love with the tavern keeper's son up in Tomahawk. And here she is, 2 generations later, in Eau Claire. I started recording at 11:45 in the morning. And I don't know that because copious notes because I didn't. No, I know that because my grandmother had a red plastic AM radio. a.m. on her kitchen counter that was on 24 hours a day. It was like audio wallpaper. And I know it was 11:45 because listening back to that tape, 15 minutes in, the audio wallpaper changed because it struck noon. And everybody in this room knows what goes on the AM radio at noon every weekday. It's the Farm Report. And in our section of North Central Wisconsin, it was wedded with the polka hour. So 10 minutes into the Farm Report / polka hour, my grandmother, the original multitasker, stops in mid-sentence, and I remember her pointing to the radio and saying, "Johnny, that's the song I taught you the polka to." 45 years later, that tape recorder went click, rewind, play, click, rewind, play. I spent the day learning the tune from the radio on that tape that my grandmother taught me to polka to. And I didn't really have to know it learn it because I already was very familiar, not only the song, but the person who recorded it, because he was my favorite polka star. North Central Wisconsin is the only place that a 9-year-old boy can have a favorite polka star. He was every 9-year-old boy's favorite polka star, not because he was a great musician, which he was, but because of his name, and I know that so many of you remember Whoopie John. And his last name was the best part. And I am not making this up, his last name was Wilfart. Which I don't know, maybe explains the whoopie thing. But it definitely explains the 9-year-old boy thing. So, here is the tune that that my grandmother taught me to polka to. It was also the big hit for International Polka Hall of Fame charter inductee, Whoopie John Wilfart. I'm 73 years old and I still enjoy saying it. And for those of you who grew up taking accordion lessons, this tune was the bane of your existence. This is the clarinet polka. I've had the really unusual opportunity, privilege, over the last 40 years to be asked to play for veterans group. And it's an unusual thing for someone who is not only a veteran but was Quaker to be asked to play for veterans groups. And I've learned things from these men and women I could never have learned anywhere else. Not the least of which was, despite the steady diet of comic books and B movies and television shows that I grew up with, that we all grew up with, it's no fun becoming a veteran. And I've heard from veterans time and time again, if we truly wanted to honor the sacrifice that veterans and their families have made, far more than parades and monuments and holidays, we would work, every one of us, every day of our life, to make certain that there never had to be another generation of veterans to follow them. This is a story based on a true event. I've actually met men in Germany who were involved in this, who told me their story, and they were just scared young teenagers. But for one amazing night, were maybe the sanest people on the planet. My name is Francis Tolliver. I come from Liverpool. 2 years ago, the war was waiting for me after school. Belgium and to Flanders, to Germany to here, I fought for king and country I loved dear. It's Christmas in the trenches, where the frosts of their home. The frozen fields of France were still, no Christmas songs were sung. Our families back in England were toasting us that day. They're brave and glorious lads so far away. Well, I was lying with my messmates on the cold and rocky ground, when across the lines of battle came a most peculiar sound. So I now listen up, the boys, each soldier strained to hear, as one young German voice sang out so clear. He's singing bloody well, you know, my partner said to me. Soon one by one each German voice joined in harmony. The cannons rested silent, gas clouds rolled no more, as Christmas brought us respite from the war. Well, as soon as they were finished, the reverend pause was spent. God rest you, merry gentlemen, struck up some lads from Kent. The next they sang was Stille Nacht, to silent night, says I, and into tongues one song filled up that sky. Someone comes towards us, the front line sentry cried. All sights were fixed on one lone figure, trudging from their side. His truce flag light, a Christmas star, shone on that day so bright, as he bravely strode on out into the night. Soon one by one on either side walked into no man's land. With neither gun nor bayonet, we met there hand to hand. Shared some secret ground, and we wished each other well. And in a flare-lit soccer game, we gave him hell. We traded chocolates, cigarettes, and photographs from home. These sons and fathers far away from families of their own. Young Sanders played his squeeze box. They had a violin. This curious and unlikely band man. Soon daylight stole upon us, and France was France once more. With sad farewells we each began to settle back to war. But the question haunted every heart that beat that wondrous night. Whose family have I fixed in my sights? It's Christmas in the trenches where the frost of winter hung. Frozen fields of friends were warmed as songs of peace were sung. For the walls they kept between us to exact the work of war had been crumbled and gone forevermore. Hey, this Francis Tolliver, Liverpool-eyed well, each Christmas come since World War I. Learn its lessons well. And the ones who call the shots won't be among the dead and laid, and on each end of the rifle we're the same. Friends, it's been a real delight to be here with you. I really appreciate the opportunity to come here to Eau Claire, especially to celebrate the 20th anniversary of this great endeavor that Marcus and his team are doing. It's hard work. It doesn't seem on the outside like it might be, but it's hard work to make change happen. It happens slow. It takes all of us as the Jews have a saying called Tikkun Olam, repair the world. And the notion is you are the one, but because you can't do it all by yourself, it does not relieve you from the responsibility of doing nothing. So at the risk of overstating the obvious, I want to point out that, as was actually done earlier so eloquently, that I was only one of many people, one of many workers who had a job to do, and I had the best job. I didn't have to set up any of the sound or the lights. I didn't have to take tickets or sell you CDs, and I know I'm not going to have to clean up after you. But there are people who do this at every cultural event. People like John and Randy who did the sound and the lights, and Mark and the whole team who thought this up and executed it, and now it's come to fruition. They're the people who show up early, they stay late, they sit out there in the dark and watch one guy get all your appreciation. Please join me in thanking all these people. Sign your books and CDs if you're into that sort of thing. I have no idea when I might next be in your neighborhood. It's been a while. I hope it doesn't have to be that while again. But thank you so much. And as I began, diving back into that little paperback song. This is a song that nobody sings because everybody thinks everybody else sings it. And consequently, it doesn't get sung enough. So I've been singing it a lot because I play for groups like y'all and I play bluegrass festivals. And I like having that wide swath of our nation listen to songs like this one. And I started singing it again because I remembered Mother Teresa saying, we have forgotten that we belong to one another. As I was walking ribbon of highway, I saw above me an endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. The sun came shining, the sun came shining. I was strolling, the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling as the fall was lifting. Voice was chanting. What is that? This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made you and me. So there I am, 16 years old, I made it to the teens. And I'm singing this song out of the book, and I said, wait a minute. There's a whole bunch of verses in here they never taught me in elementary school. Woody was that inconvenient patriot that dared to ask questions. Was a great high wall there that tried to stop me, and a great big sign that said private property, and on the other side it didn't say nothing. That sign was made you and in the city square, in the cities, neath the shadow of the steeple, by the relief office. I saw my people, some stood there hungry. I stood there wondering if this land was made you and me. We've come a long way here. We've got a long way to go yet. We've got things to learn here. We've got seas to sow yet. So many brothers and sisters, but it seems we still don't know yet that this land was made. Are you singing? Come on, stop singing. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made you and me. sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the darkness round me falls? I know the truth, it liveth. What though the tempest round me roars? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble sick with fear and hear their death knells ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging, when friends by shame are undefiled. How can I keep from singing? My life flows on in endless song. Above earth's lamentation, I hear the reed, though far off him that hails a new